Hey, family. Welcome back to Her Divine Journey podcast. Here with your host, me, Brandy. I don't know where you're at, but I'm in Florida, and y'all, it is so cold. And I know people are in other temperatures, and this is probably so nice for them. But for my body, for my mental, it is so not. I'm sorry, it is so not. So I've had my gloves on. My house is full of tiles, so it's cold. Then got to work and the heater was broke, so it's been cold there. So I have just been cold all day long. But now that I'm home, I'm able to take off my gloves, but they're so cute, right? I really like them. I actually got these last year when I was in London, because my little fingers were freezing while the rest of the people I was traveling with, they were doing okay. And I was like, no, we got to stop. So they actually came in handy here in Florida. Wouldn't have thought so, but here we are. So I'm going to go ahead and take these babies off while we talk tonight. So it is a new week. It is a new month. It is February, y'all. Better known as the love month. So I love February. It's a beautiful month. It's a shorter type of month, right? We only got 28 days unless it's a leap year, and this year is not. But since it's the beginning of February, I wanted to share one practice I'm intentionally is key word here, carrying with me from January. And that's how I approach food. If y'all would have asked me this last year, I probably wouldn't have told you it would be food. But January taught me a lot. I definitely was grounded. I definitely moved slow. It was like a fast and slow month. But one thing God kept bringing back to my attention was stewardship of my body. Because we only get one. And this is a temple. And He has given us several things that we should steward, right? Time, skills and talents, and your body. And there's multiple other ones, and I can't think of them all right now. But your body is a resource He has given you. And taking care of it is big. But He didn't bring it to me in a harsh way. It wasn't in a restrictive way, but in a very clear and loving and disciplined way. So this year during my 21-day fast, my church hosts this every January. It is one of the longer fasts that I do throughout the year. And I usually struggle with the Daniel fast, the fruits and vegetables. But this year I committed to doing the Daniel fast. And I had some help, but I still struggled. And what I struggled with is that I'm not supposed to be focusing on food, but then I end up focusing more on food than I do on God. And that's the honest truth, because I don't just have fruits and vegetables in the house. I get all like, what am I going to eat? How, and it just starts to become overwhelming. And this year, when I ended my Daniel fast, I ended it with a 48-hour fast for the first time. I was trying to hit 72, but God gently reminded me that it is not about a challenge. It is not about me hitting a goal. It is about obedience to Him. It is about connecting to Him. That is what this fast was about. It wasn't about the physical what's the word I want to look for? Like benefits. It is about the spiritual connection to Him. And so I ended up ending it at 48 hours. I was super proud of myself that I even lasted that long, because your girl, I'm not a huge foodie, but I do enjoy some good food, But I have really felt the Holy Spirit pressing me in this area. And what made it different this time was I wasn't alone. I was a part of a community of women fasting together, sharing recipes, videos, chats, encouragement, and that accountability mattered. So this wasn't a new message for me. Years ago, I wrote it was either in 2023 or 2024, I wrote about an autoimmune condition that I was dealing with that was unknown. And my body was full of inflammation, and it was expressing itself in what they call chronic urticaria. You can go to my website at Words That Speak to read more about it. But it was a journey for me because I'm healthy. I don't have health conditions. I don't take medicines on a daily, and hallelujah. But in that season, it was a trying time for me. Specialist after specialist, lab test after lab test, doctor's visits, trial and error, to the point where no one could figure out what was going on. And I started to do an anti-inflammatory diet. I brought out my juicer I asked for one for that Christmas, and my son bought it for me. I started trying to do the juices and stuff, but it's expensive, and with having to deal with everything else I just didn't stick to the regimen as much as I personally wanted to. So I had already had an introduction into how food does affect the body, because our gut is like our second brain. And I already was brought into that season of getting to know about food and learning more. But this time around, I started getting a deeper confirmation that I need to eat better, I need to choose better, and I need to be educated. And so I live in a household where food has already been programmed a certain way. So the main person who cooks usually cooks what she knows how to cook, okay? Which is my mother. So, and it's not about perfection. It's not about changing her, because she's an amazing cook. But she's programmed to the recipes that she only knows how to cook. So it is the same ones. Maybe not every day, but every month. And so I felt as though it needed to be intentional about what I'm putting in my body. And that first started with education. I started reading labels in my house. And I took two of our favorites, SpaghettiOs and ramen. My youngest son loves them. And I wrote down the ingredients, and half of it I could not pronounce. And so I started researching each and every one. I put it on a Word document, and what they do, what they are, in no shame to food, but to just be informed. And y'all, the results were nasty. It was repulsing what is on the shelves and what we were putting in our bodies. And because one of the videos that one of the sisters shared was someone who had seen in his neighborhood just people, high blood pressure, diabetes, chronic conditions, obesity, and so on. But they were all going to the liquor store, the Chinese spot, the pizza spot, the taco spot. And he started to figure out, and he started changing his lifestyle. And one of his main key points, which stuck with me, is that your kitchen should be your first defense against disease. Your kitchen should be your first defense. So what you bring in the house matters. What you put in your body matters, because we are what we eat, right? So if we're putting in junk and expecting energy and good night's sleep and to get up and be able to perform the duties of the day, it's just not going to happen if you don't have the right food in you. And so I had a conversation with the fams. We sat down and it was a great conversation. And now we are limiting what comes in and being more intentional about what it says. And so not saying you can't have that, more like how can we find an alternative or a replacement for it? I did the juicing again. I brought out the juicer. It still works. Thank goodness. And I have been juicing for almost a month now. And I am like in love with apples and carrots. And I really have enjoyed the purple cabbage and the pineapple. Amazing. Amazing. So, watching videos, learning about gut health, plant-based eating, and how food affects not just your body, but your mind. Your gut really is like a second brain. Y'all, it's like a second brain. And so I can't say everybody in the household is on board, and that's okay because they're adults. But for me and my youngest, who's not an adult yet, this matters. Food affects him. And as his parent, I'm responsible for what I allow. And so, I'm in my 40s now. I'm looking good though. But I want to feel good the rest of my 40s and my 50s and my 60s and my 70s until I take my last breath. I want to feel good. And I want to be able to control what I can control. What is in my control. So this isn't about a trend. It's about longevity, okay? Clarity and obedience. And that's what I'm taking into January. Better choices on food. I am not claiming any diets. I'm not saying now I'm going to be just this or just that. I'm just wanting to be more educated and more aware about where I'm shopping, what I'm buying, what I'm eating. And so what I'm carrying into February is this: juicing, moderate portions, monthly fasting, staying educated, staying disciplined, and listening to God about my body, because He created this body and He gave it to me, and I have to be a good steward of it. And speaking of stewardship is my word for this year. Yes. So as I wrap up this episode, January, reminding me that faith isn't just spiritual, it's practical. And food is a big part for me. And it's part of it, right? Food is part of that. So if this resonates with you, take what applies and leave the rest, okay? It may not work out for you, but let me tell you, I will tell you now that no matter who you are, what you're eating is affecting what you are producing out. It's coming out in one way or another. And so we're all stewarding different bodies, different seasons, and different responsibilities. So I hope this helps one heart, one mind, one soul, one body, and one spirit to know that you can change. You can change. It's hard. It's not easy, but with some discipline and some consistency and definitely education, you can make a better choice to be a better version of you. So that is me being a better version of me. So thank you for being here, and I will see you soon. Toodles! Oh.